Welcome back to The Flexible Mind. I am your host, David Ashby, and in the studio today we have my good friend David Q. And I'm not exactly sure what topics we have in store today, but with so many things going on in the news and on social media, we're just going to let this one flow and see where we end up. But before we start, please be sure to like, subscribe, and all that BS. It really does help grow the channel, and it'll help you keep up with our content in the future. And without further ado, let's start. Anyways, already.
Back to what we're talking about. We're talking about how people in, the retired part of their lives a lot of times end up, living in extreme
Eating dog
poverty.
food.
So that's like
that's a real story though.
There's other countries in the world where they wish they had dog food. In Venezuela, they don't have any toilet paper. They're out of a lot of food staples, and they're getting a lot of aid from other people. They're using, instead of their pharmacies being stocked with people medicine, they're using dog and cat and horse medicine at their pharmacies.
It's pretty serious?
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
I was watching it on TV actually. It was actually on the news. Like they were showing videos of people rioting, and it's like
using horse medications and shit.
Horse and dog. I guess they're raiding the vets. They're raiding the vet's office for medication.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
And it's weird that we have people in this country that are running for office that are like wanting to have that be the status quo for the United States. But it will be, of course, it will be utopia because we know better. Everybody thinks that.
I think we would do it better because fucking America. But
Joseph Stalin probably thought he could do better too. With communism.
True.
Oh, I know.
But
I know that a lot of people like that.
I know, like in Venezuela, like that game I play, RuneScape. They actually have whole tons of people who play that game just to earn in-game currency, which then they turn around and sell for US dollars, and then they convert that to Venezuelan whatever they're using.
Yeah,
and
what their currency is actually.
That just shows you that whatever's going on in their economy and their government and their system right now is so bad that in a game economy with infinite spawning resources and items is doing better than a real life government and currency and economy. It's just incredible to see that people are literally making their day jobs a video game so that they can make enough money to feed their families.
This is a rich country though that we're talking about. I mean, they have more oil than Saudi Arabia does.
Yeah, but oil's not worth shit anymore.
Then why isn't Saudi Arabia having all these starvation, no toilet paper, rioting in the streets?
They probably did a little better with managing the money, because they're used to paying off princes, so they need money in reserves. They're like a king or something.
But the people of Saudi Arabia, though, by and large, they're not poor people. They don't have a poor people class in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly, yeah.
But in Venezuela, it seems like everybody's poor, and the difference is, I mean, I'm not touting that the Saudi government is a fair and just government. They're just starting to let women drive cars just now, and it's 2018. But in Venezuela, their government is socialist, give everybody everything for free, and damn be the consequences. And no matter how much oil they had, they ran out of other people's money. They ran out of other people's money. That's what happened. I mean, they can't run their government.
Their economy tanked with the oil tanking.
But it's not the oil tanking. They have other resources though. They're a giant country. They're not a little teeny tiny little thing like New Jersey.
But if your government, it's kind of like someone who wins the lottery. You win the lottery, and then most of the time those people go bankrupt. And the reason why is you don't know how to manage that much money.
Right.
So Venezuela, which was a relatively third world country, a very poor kind of country, South American obviously, and then you have all this oil that they find, and then they're able to sell it on the international markets at a really high price because at the time it was a good time.
They thought the gravy train would go on forever.
Exactly, and they built their system around that, thinking that 13% growth like we were talking about would exist forever. And it didn't, obviously. Because oil tanked, and then they put too many eggs in one basket.
It's like the same with investing. You don't invest in one thing. You invest in a lot of things called diversification.
Exactly.
And I mean, you hear liberals talking about it all the time. Diversity. Well, you have to have diversity when it comes to the way you invest your money, and so do countries. So if you invest everything into one thing, you're asking for trouble. It's not that it's maybe going to happen. It is something bad's going to happen no matter what. If you invest all of your resources in just one thing, that's why I'm like a big capitalist. I like capitalism because it's very diverse. You could start your own business and you can make a lot of money. You could become wealthy or you could just make it, but it's up to you. It's not up to the state. And I think that's way better than socialism, because socialism, everybody kind of does a half-ass kind of job and everybody just kind of gets along. There's no real incentive to be extraordinary. Here's an example. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the one in Queens that got...
Yeah, the New York representative.
She won the primary against the incumbent that had been there forever. And he was like going to be the guy that was going to go out and take out Nancy Pelosi in the next election.
Impressive win out of nowhere. But
impressive, yeah. But I've seen her on TV, and she is horrible. She has an economics degree, which tells you how much degrees are worth from colleges nowadays. That's a whole nother subject. But she didn't even understand the simple math behind her programs. It was reported on NBC or ABC News, and they calculated that just the cost of Medicare for all, which is kind of her plan, part of their plan. She wants Medicare for all, a minimum living wage, and free college tuition and education for everybody. But just the Medicare part for all would cost $41 trillion.
$41 trillion.
Okay, and they say that's over 10 years. I'm willing to bet you that over 10 years is going to be more like over 2 years, because the way the efficiency of the government is, they suck. Everything they do, it costs way more. It's
because they line hands all the way down.
Right. It takes too many. It's too many people involved in the chain, so it costs a lot of money to operate that chain. They're good for some things like infrastructure and building roads, but like here we have the Orlando I-4.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not good at building roads.
Yeah, they're not that great at it, but it's private companies though, because all the hotels that are all like flea bag motels that are along the highway that used to be kind of nice, now they're kind of crappy. They're full of the construction workers. That's all who lives there. They occupy the entire hotel for like 5 of them all along the strip, right next to the highway.
There's some money being made.
There's a lot of money being made there.
Hell yeah. And that's the reason why it's taking forever.
It is, but that's the way you build a road. It takes a while. I mean, they plan on it taking 6 years. But that's what the government's for setting up projects like that. They shouldn't be handling every tiny little aspect of your life. And that's what happens in places like Venezuela. It happened in the Soviet Union. Everybody had a job in the Soviet Union. And even if it was a worthless, meaningless job, you kind of get forced into, here's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And here in the United States, we don't have that problem. We get to be whatever we want.
I actually had a professor who was born and raised in Romania while it was in the Soviet Union and whatnot, and phenomenal professor. But she always talked about how there was constant shortages of most basic things because the government would set quotas for different items. Like they would say, okay, we sent a surveyor out to find out how many people there are, and we decided we need this many toothbrushes. So we're going to go to the factory that's government owned, and we're going to produce this many toothbrushes, which then would create a shortage because some are broken or some are not useful. And then she would always talk about how it was always sub-quality too. It was just shitty stuff. And she would always say, like, I really would, when I came to the United States and everything, she realized how much better things were. Like shoes were quality made instead of just being some thrown together bullshit by somebody who doesn't care about their job because it's assigned to them, not them driving to go get it. You know, like they don't really want to be there. They're just doing it because they're assigned to. And they're going to
look at the Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Look at the My Pillow guy. He goes and makes the best pillow in the whole wide world. He keeps saying, but he spent a lot of technology and time and advertising, and he sells them. And they're expensive, and he gets money out of them. But think about here's your job. You're going to work at the pillow factory. You're going to make the crappiest pillow in the world. It's going to be like Soviet era everything. Yeah. And that's the difference between even the simplest things of capitalism. People. Just to relate to you guys,
have you ever read a book and you were just really interested and you're like, wow, this is a really great book, and you just can't put it down? I mean, I've got books on the ground all over me right now because these are great books, Harry Potter and shit like that. Like, you can't put them down. But then when you were assigned a book in class, you never wanted to read that bullshit. You're like, do I have to? It's the same thing. Like, if you're assigned a job to make pillows and you need to make X amount of pillows, you're not really like enthused about it. You're like, whatever. It's what I got to do. The government makes me, and I'll get my government check and whatever. Like,
but if you got paid well to do that job by a company that's proud and they're American made and they're proud of that, which is kind of like a curse word, I guess, in the leftist, ideology.
American made or proud?
Proud to have American made products. There's a lot of tariffs going on with China with the new administration, and it's weird that the Chinese are fighting back by putting tariffs on us when they already have a $500 billion disadvantage for the United States when it comes to dealing with trade with China. I mean, that is the kind of thing that they're.
So what do you mean exactly?
They're punishing us. We have a deficit in our trade with China.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means we buy more shit from them than we.
I know,
sell
but have
to them.
you ever noticed that on eBay? That's a great example. If you go buy some piece of crap Chinese-made thing that comes from China, and it only costs like a little phone disc charger for your Samsung phone that cost. I think I got 2 of them for $14.
Wow.
But they work kind of, and they're small, but they're so slow and they're garbage. You could tell. But I got one from Samsung that's made in South Korea, and it's the real heavy duty one. You plug your phone in, set your phone on top of it, and that thing charges your phone like instantly. I mean, it's like it's 2.5 times faster.
Yeah, South Koreans kill it with
that. But they make technology. So I would much rather buy a Samsung phone than some kind of crappy ass Chinese phone, which we've had before. Because I mean, you go through cell phones like crazy.
Yeah, everyone's had what was the brand that starts with a K? It's kind of like Kawasaki. Kyocera, yeah. Kyocera. Everyone's had one of those.
So I couldn't tell if that was a phone or a little scooter.
Yeah. I
drove up on my Kyocera. What? But like I'm saying, it's like if you have an incentive to make your products and your country better, it's better than being everybody the same. I mean, Miss Cortez with her mathematics problem, I just did a simple thing. I have my phone in here.
Has she proposed anything to like?
I did the whole Ask Google thing.
Yeah.
I asked Google. I just turned the phone on and asked Google, how much is 41 trillion divided by 330 million? That's how many people, all babies included, all old people, people that work, don't work, everybody that's on assistance.
Yeah,
everybody.
So an average family's going to have 4 times.
It's $90,000 in change.
Over 10 years.
Per person.
So it's only $9,000 a year.
Per person. Babies.
Yeah.
Retired people. People that are already on assistance. So where's this money going to come from? I mean,
that's just for Medicare?
That's just for Medicare part. If she wanted to do the whole shebang, the same people from ABC News said it was going to cost $42 trillion over 10 years for the college, the Medicare-for-All, and the guaranteed living wage, which I'm gathering is something like some of the places in California are doing with like $500 a month. Well, I've seen a couple of places where they've already passed that kind of legislation in just small rinky-dink, more like towns, not real big cities in California. You can look it up.
I know. I'm looking up the budget because.
Well, we could just ask.
Okay, so in 2015, the federal budget was $3.8 trillion. So if she's proposing, what was the number? $42 trillion over 10 years.
10 years. So that'd be 4.2.
That's more than the budget right there. That's the whole federal budget.
So we're already spending less now. She wants to spend that much more.
She wants to double it plus some.
Plus what we're paying already.
Which means your deficit every year, like our debt and deficit would just grow exponentially.
We're already $20 trillion plus in the hole. And we owe that to other countries like China, and it's in their best interest for us to not default on that, because if we do, they're screwed. So they really can't fight too much with us on this whole trade imbalance. And it's kind of weird that they're pissed because the President of the United States is standing up for our country and saying, hey, you've already been screwing us for long enough. And he's doing this with the European Union. He's noticed all these deficiencies and how we're the ones footing the bill because we work hard and we make better stuff. And
well, it comes mostly military shit, yeah.
Military shit, we're the biggest exporter of weapons, oddly enough.
Well, yeah, and it's because we're the defender of the Western world. I mean, we are literally the Roman Empire of today.
I know the Russians are trying to build jets and everything and sell them off, but I mean, a lot of these countries they're trying to sell to are third world shithole countries.
Yeah,
I said it.
Seriously though, like I get it's offensive, like shithole country, but it's true.
You've been to places before on vacation that you were like you weren't going to walk down that alley no matter what.
Exactly. I've been all across places that have been like that, and even Jamaica. Like there's a comedian, I forget who says it, but it's hilarious. No, especially
he
Jamaica.
lives there.
Yeah, no, but this comedian is talking about how that bus ride between the airport to the resort
safest
is like the scariest thing because you're driving while going like you see somebody just gutting a dog and eating fucking bones and you're like, what is this? Like, where am I? And you get to the resort, you forget everything as soon as they give you a pina colada, and it's just like, oh, Jamaica's great. And I'll link the comedian, but. Hey, oh my god, dude, so funny.
You should link up to where you stayed.
It's true. No, because when I went to Jamaica, like it was exactly like that. You know, that ride between the airport to the place. I'm looking around, going, holy shit! Like every house is like in progress,
Right.
but it's been in progress for like 35 years, you know, cinder blocks and people trying to put it together like dollar by dollar. It's really bad.
Yeah,
I've
been to a few places actually with my wife to where I'm surprised that she was as comfortable as she was, because it's just like she looked around and was like, man, like we wouldn't even walk around in downtown Orlando, which is way safer than around here. And it's like, but it's a good thing she's got her buzz cut haircut and she looks like a badass, so nobody pays any attention to her. But it's like they're more intimidated.
Nobody's gonna fuck with
they're not gonna
white people.
They're not gonna go accost my wife, you know, I mean, like, afraid to get a beat down. But I mean, but seriously, you know, it's like you've been to places like that, and I've been to places like that, and to pretend they don't exist.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
It's just because of the offense, and that's one of the biggest problems with Trump in general for most people is they get so offended by the way he delivers his message that they can't even comprehend what his message is, because they're so offended by the way he said it. You know, he says shithole countries, and instead of taking into context and exploring what the hell he's actually trying to say, you're so fucking pissed that he's like, they called him shithole countries, that's racist, and he means like Africans and Muslims and stuff. And it's like, okay, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. That's not the point. Just take the situation in context. That's like the most important thing, and everyone seems to forget it.
People are so easily offended now. It's like, to me, I'm finding that I don't really get offended by anything. I'm not surprised by anything anymore.
Dude, the internet is the most toxic place in the universe. If you walk into it and don't expect to get offended, like what?
I'm glad I don't have Facebook or Twitter or anything on any of my devices anymore. You know what? I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. I really don't care. If you don't like me, fine. Sorry.
Leave it in the comments.
Yeah, leave it in the comments. And if you don't like, at least you're thinking about me.
Yeah.
It's like, be mad at me. That's fine. Because, I mean, I believe, I thought Trump was an idiot, and I really never even watched 1 minute of any of his television shows. And to this day, I have yet to see any of it. I've never watched any of the, whatever it is, The Apprentice. Is that what he did?
I haven't either.
I'm not a TV guy that watches reality TV like that. If I want to watch reality TV, I just look at my wife. You know, seriously, I'm over here. It's like, there's reality TV right there.
I mean, you can watch the news now, and it's almost as entertaining as anything.
It really
else.
is. It's more of an entertainment factor. And, you know, but I can't deny that, you know, when I go and I look at my investments on the computer that my wife has for the most part, they're doing well. And I notice that I'm making a lot more money at my job. You know, I'm self-employed, but I have much more revenue now than I did than I did 2 years ago.
Forward.
I mean, 2 years ago, I had to go get a part-time job because we were having problems with some of our vendors. Now, it's like, I don't need a part-time job. I can't even do the job that I have the work for. I literally need to go hire some people, and I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want the
Then
aggravation.
there's a bureaucracy involved, and you gotta.
Yeah, but I don't want the responsibility of being, you know, the person that's got to pay your paycheck and worry about whether you can pay your rent and everything. I've already been down that road. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
I've already had that. It's like, been there, done that, and then you make the same amount of money for the most part. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, it depends on how good you are. You know, it's like, it depends on what you do. If you can manage yourself and not have to have anybody else working with you, it's better. I've always had people that volunteer that want to work with me, and I tell them, no, sorry. I don't need any help. Do it myself.
See, the way I always see it is the reason why somebody's hiring you is because they're able to make more money off of your work than they are by themselves. So, and that's an obvious concept, but people don't really take that into consideration. It's like, you could be doing the same stuff. You just need the capital to get to that same position. So if you work hard enough to get to that position, you could be the person hiring somebody and paying them $40,000 a year, but they're making you 75.
You know, the only problem is, though, I don't have that kind of room in my business to be able to make sure that somebody is well paid, and I'm not going to pay somebody some half-ass wage. If you're going to work for me, you're going to get paid well. Yeah. So it's like, if I can't afford to pay you well, I'm not going to leave you out there hanging and pay you a little bit to where you can barely survive. That I couldn't sleep at night doing that. And as being an employer of people from before, I couldn't do that. There's no way.
That's awesome, because I'm sure a lot of like big companies, because they're removed from that. Yeah, exactly. They just see a bunch of numbers on the payroll and they're like, we gotta get rid of this.
Those numbers are people, and they're like you and me.
Exactly.
And it makes a big difference.
Exactly.
I mean, it really does. I think it's important that you take care of the people that work for you, no matter what. And I think that's the same thing with your country. It's like, we need to take care of our country, and the country will take care of us back.
Yeah, that's true.
And if we go down the wrong road and the wrong path, you know, we have the $42 trillion bill idea, or actually people working. I mean, right now we have the lowest unemployment for Hispanics, for African Americans, for women in 65 years. These are good numbers for people, and these are things that people are actually noticing. I mean, the African American support for Trump has gone up to 30 or 29% from like 9 at the same time 2 years ago. So I mean, there's a big difference because people aren't stupid. You can watch CNN, you can watch MSNBC. If you like watching that kind of crap, that's great. But you can go find real news out there, like right here.
Yeah.
Because we'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, if it sucks and things start going bad, I'll be the first one to tell you because I didn't like Trump to start with. I thought he was a buffoon.
Yeah.
But I don't really care what he says. It's what he does. And if you're helping out the country and if you're doing things that are helping me out in a long-term kind of way, I'm on board, man. Seriously. If Hillary Clinton could have done it, I would have been on board too. But we both know that.
Let's pick that up when we get back. I'm up against the wall here on the time. But
right.
yeah, let's check that out and talk about Trump when you get back because there's a lot of stuff going on.
All right. Thanks for the rant.
Appreciate you guys.